There was once a fox named Rowan who lived in the northern hills beyond a wide valley. For years, he was known as one of the most capable hunters in the region. Not because he was the strongest. Not because he was the fastest. Because he could adapt. When winters were harsh, Rowan survived. When prey became scarce, Rowan adjusted. When storms changed migration patterns, Rowan learned new routes. Every challenge sharpened him. Every setback taught him something. Every difficult season forced him to become more capable than he had been before. Life was not easy. But it made him valuable. And in the wilderness, value wasn't measured by what you owned. It was measured by what you could do when conditions change. Then something happened. A farming settlement was built at the edge of the valley. At first, Rowan paid little attention. The farmers built fences, raised livestock, and stored grain. Their presence seemed irrelevant to his life in the hills. But one evening, while passing near the settlement, he noticed something interesting. Behind several barns sat piles of discarded food. Meat scraps. Bread crusts. Vegetables. Enough food to feed several animals. Rowan watched from a distance. Every night, more appeared. Every morning, it was replaced. The pattern was predictable. Reliable. Convenient. And convenience has a way of disguising itself as opportunity. The next evening, Rowan returned. He ate until he was full. No tracking. No chasing. No risk. No effort. For the first time in years, survival felt easy. The following night, he returned again. Then again. And again. Soon, the settlement became his primary source of food. At first, it felt like an upgrade. Why spend hours hunting when the system provided everything he needed? Why struggle when a simpler path existed? The decision seemed rational. Efficient. Even intelligent. What Rowan didn't realize was that he wasn't simply changing where his food came from. He was changing who he was becoming. Because capability operates under a simple rule. Use it or lose it. The decline didn't happen all at once. That is what made it dangerous. His instincts didn't disappear overnight. His strength didn't vanish in a week. The erosion was gradual. Invisible. The kind of change that happens so slowly you only notice it when it's already expensive. Weeks became months. His mornings grew later. His movements became slower. He stopped exploring distant parts of the valley. He stopped testing himself against difficult conditions. He stopped solving problems because the system solved them for him. And every skill that goes unused eventually begins to fade. One evening, an old owl landed on a fence post nearby and watched Rowan eating from a pile of scraps. "You seem comfortable," the owl said. Rowan nodded. "I've earned it." The owl remained silent for a moment. Then he asked a strange question. "If the food stopped arriving tomorrow, what would happen?" Rowan laughed. "It won't stop." "How do you know?" "The farmers have always left food." The owl stared at him. "They always have, until they don't." Then the owl flew away. Rowan dismissed the warning. After all, the evidence seemed clear. The scraps arrived every day. The system worked. Why question it? Months passed. Then one autumn, something changed. A new manager arrived at the settlement. The farmers became more organized. Waste was reduced. Storage methods improved. Food scraps became less common. At first, Rowan barely noticed. Then the piles became smaller. Then smaller still. Then one evening, there was nothing. The next night, nothing again. The night after that, still nothing. For the first time in months, Rowan felt something unfamiliar. Panic. The system he depended on had changed. Not because it was targeting him. Not because anyone hated him. Because systems change. And they rarely ask for permission. Hungry and desperate, Rowan returned to the hills. He would simply hunt again. Or so he thought. The next morning, he spotted a rabbit. Years ago, this would have been easy. He lunged. The rabbit escaped. Rowan chased. His lungs burned. His legs felt heavy. The rabbit disappeared into the brush. The following day, he tried again. Failure. The day after that. Failure. Every attempt revealed a painful truth. The danger had never been the loss of food. The danger was the loss of capability. The settlement hadn't weakened him. Dependency had. Without realizing it, he had outsourced the very skills that once made him resilient. He had mistaken convenience for security. He had confused comfort with strength. And now he was paying the bill. Winter approached. The nights grew colder. The margin for error disappeared. For the first time in years, Rowan faced a decision. Accept decline. Or rebuild. The rebuilding process was brutal. Not because it was impossible. Because it was humbling. Every morning he forced himself to run farther. Every afternoon he practiced tracking prey. Every evening he explored unfamiliar territory. Progress came slowly. Painfully slowly. Some days felt pointless. Some days felt embarrassing. There were moments when quitting seemed easier than continuing. But Rowan had learned something important. The purpose wasn't simply to find food. The purpose was to become capable again. Weeks passed. Then months. Gradually, his endurance returned. His instincts sharpened. His awareness improved. The hills that once exhausted him became familiar again. The challenges that once overwhelmed him became manageable. Most importantly, his confidence returned. Not the confidence that comes from comfort. The confidence that comes from competence. One cold morning near the beginning of winter, Rowan spotted a deer crossing a frozen meadow. He moved carefully. Patiently. Strategically. When the moment arrived, he acted. The chase was difficult. Demanding. Exhausting. But this time, he succeeded. As he stood there in the cold morning air, Rowan felt something he had not felt in a very long time. Respect for himself. Not because he had food. Because he had earned it. Because he knew he could survive regardless of what any system decided to do. Years later, young animals would ask Rowan how he survived so many difficult seasons. They expected him to share hunting techniques, secret routes, hidden advantages. Instead, he always told them the same thing. The greatest danger is not hardship. They would look confused. What is it then? Rowan would stare toward the valley where the settlement still stood. The greatest danger is becoming dependent on something you mistake for permanent. He would pause. Because the world changes. Markets change. Systems change. Conditions change. And when they do, the people who survive are not the people who were most comfortable. They are the people who remained capable. That was the lesson Rowan carried for the rest of his life. Comfort is not the enemy. Dependency is. Convenience is not the danger. Complacency is. And every day you stop developing your abilities, you are making a silent trade. A little less effort today. For a little less capability tomorrow. Most people never notice the trade until the bill arrives. By then, the system they trusted has already changed.